myself, basically about how I can't get anything done. But I will preview the show for everyone that did not hear the last 7 minutes. Like I said, we split the golf bombs with Wyndham Clark being hungover. He lost Ricky Fowler, but he did beat Fitzpatrick, and we lost him missing the cut. NBA bombs, we also chopped because of their shadiness with the trades. We talked about that. I'll talk about the NBA draft right after this rebreak. But I'm also previewing today. We have a live interview with scumbag bowling coach Stephen F. Austin. Steve Lemke, I think his name is. The man who cheated. His wife was the head coach. He's the assistant bowling coach. He cheated on his wife with a player, college student. And his interview, his quotes have been amazing. I'll get into that after the break. But already it's been a chaotic mess of the top of his show. So thank you for, thank you, Dundee is great for all commenters. Thank you for sticking with me here. We'll preview. I don't know what to say. Listen, I feel like Rory McIlroy. It's obsolete. What I'm doing now is obsolete. That's what Rory McIlroy said about the Travelers. Obsolete because he didn't win. It is weird when those tournaments say people are going 25 and 30 unders. Like the technology's too good. Yeah, it's not like you're playing with wooden sticks, Rory. You're part of the problem. But I get it. Rory just loves chirping up. He loves being the fucking just the old man nagger, even though he's young. He's whining. Anyway, I love him. All right, so little mishaps up front there at the show. We come back after the break. We're going to get into, I'll break down more why the NBA draft is unwatchable. Get into that bowling story. Then we'll have the interview with him. And then I'm going to give out bombs for the College World Series Championship game tonight and a couple other Major League Baseball bombs. And with that, we're going to have a good show. We're going to do it. I got it. But first, of course, Bird Dogs. Bird Dog shorts. They make you look good. Bird Dog shorts, stretch khaki shorts, designed to fit slimmer through the thighs. They do the exact same thing as Lululemon, but fit way better. I always thought Lululemon was like Tina Fey merch. I didn't realize that's an actual brand. I thought that was her cast, or Liz Lemon. That was her cast in 30 Rock. Anyway, they fit way better regular shorts, making of stiff, restricting cotton. Stiff, restricting cotton. 3 big words for the summer that you always need to do. They use anti-stink sweat wicking fabric that keeps you cool and dry all day long. Imagine that study. The laboratories of testing out different products for stink sweat. Then you come in as a sample, get $50 a day to just sit on the couch, scratch yourself with your Xbox controller. Yeah, we're testing out the stink sweat fabric. Anyway, Bird Dog. Bird Dog did all that so you don't have to. So now you go to birddogs.com/pool, enter promo code pool for free Yeti-style tumbler with your order. It's birddogs.com/pool for free Yeti-style tumbler. You won't want to take your Bird Dogs off. We promise you. Well, if your summer's going good, you should take them off. Either way, take them off at night, at the very least. That's all I can say for you. That's all I can say for you. Anyway, we're back. Bottom line, Bob's welcome. Let's talk to some NBA draft. Jesus, God, is that a long song? All right. Constructed by the great Daniel Tosh, the comedian Daniel Tosh. No. I do think of the Tim Robinson Saturday Live skit, though. You ever see that Tim Robinson skit when him and Sudeikis do Tash and his brother playing that song for NBC, and he adds lyrics to it. It's like, basketball. It's very funny. I have not watched the new season of Think You Should Leave, but I'm sure it's great because Tim Robinson's great. Anyway, watch it. So NBA draft bombs, like I said, we hit on a couple, but we lost most because of the shenanigans. But anyway, let's just talk about the NBA draft itself. It is so that was painful. That was one of the most unwatchable things ever. I knew going into it, I'm like, I mean, call me nostalgic, but I missed the days when you knew who the hell anyone was getting drafted, and that you knew. I mean, overtime elite. What is this? I know it's a G League, and I get it, for the players. You know, the college system is messed up. It's free labor law and advertising, but they play there barely a year. They even barely play now. Overtime Elite is like an camera editing company or something. Now there's like a league that have like the best players in the world going. Oh, okay. When beyond, I know we don't even see. I mean, I know he's a freak and all, but even the college players, I don't know who the fuck they were. None of the good players that anyone knew, like all the 3 best players. That's what's amazing to me too. Like Drew Timme, the big guy from UConn, and everyone just like, yeah, worthless. Those skills are worthless in the NBA. Unless you could jack 50-foot threes and space out, that's all we care about. That's not a good sign, I don't think, for the NBA. But this thing was unwatchable. They used. I'll give ESPN this. The NBA draft is not the NFL draft, and for a while they tried to make it like that, and it's just not the same. They have like Jay Billis's best available, and there's like 4 guys. Like best available. There's only 2 rounds, and we're already checked out by mid first round. No one knows who it is, and no one cares either. They're not even going to make the team, or they will in the second round, but whatever. But the best available, all that shit. No one follows any of these guys, so they scrapped that. They scrapped. All right, let's forget. Let's not act like it's a draft where anyone knows anything. Now let's just make it all about the stories. So you can't just have all of one thing. You got to have a balance of a draft. Who should they take? Did they make mistakes? See, we want to grade drafts. We want to say who made mistakes, but we don't know about any of these things. All right, now let's hear about the players. Let's get their personal stories. But they did it for everyone. No grading, all personal stories. All sappy exposés, parents' interviews on the couch. The whole thing looked like one of the most miserable places to be. It looked like an 8th grade, like an 8th grade graduation. I don't know what it was. And it's just parents on the couch. And it was like propaganda. I didn't even get any fun suits. The only fun suit came from a white guy. What the fuck was what kind of draft is this where the white guy had the funkiest suit? The dude from Kansas who had ruby red slippers for Dorothy, Wizard of Oz. I like how he had explained his bit, It's for Dorothy. Yeah, we get it. From Kansas. All right. You look like more like a color me bad guy, but all right. Fair enough. So they have Stephen A. I mean, enough with the fucking Stephen A. Smith. Him and Fat Joe are up there. Fat Joe's doing a 20-minute segment. What is going on? He funds a Rucker League team? Might as well. He seemed like an expert compared to everyone. And I like anytime they talk anything, any kind of journalism there, they just get crushed on Twitter. Malika Andrews, she gets slammed on Twitter anytime she brings up any kind of negative. So what are you not going to talk about? The Alabama kid, who's in a murder case? You just not going to talk about it? This is Brandon Miller's day. How dare you bring that up? Sorry for ruining your prom. That's all it is. It's like a prom. You just want she gets hurt by Black Twitter for wanting to bring a black man down. Bringing a black man down on his day. Had to bring up the murder, didn't you? Get over it already. The victim did. You don't hear the victim talking about it. The victim's dead. Anyway. So then it just becomes propaganda for this fucking basketball. And no one knows who cares. It was just so painful. And let's get the clock going. My God, it was like 20 minutes in between picks. And the big move. The big move was that number 2 pick between Brandon Miller and Scoot. What a great name, Scoot. I don't know if you can be a good basketball player with the name Scoot, but Scoot better shoot. Scoot and Brandon Miller. And we got swayed. We went back and forth the lines. Then Shams tweeted out that the Hornets they're still up in the air. A lot of momentum. They still haven't chosen. The bullshit they haven't chosen. And then the Scoots went to fucking like minus 500 again. And then of course they went with Brandon Miller. Oh, because Brandon Miller said he thought Paul George. He said the lines actually moved because Brandon Miller joked around and said Michael Jordan's old and he airballed a free throw. So they think Jordan was just going to hate him. First of all, how is Jordan even still involved in these picks? All his picks have been terrible. He sold a team, but like, I'm just going to hang around and ruin this thing. Amazing. We love saying how rigged the NBA is for like TV rights. You know, they want to make the best show possible. And yes, they do want ratings and all that. I don't think they rig it so much like that. They kind of want to influence some things, but this is an event they definitely rig for TV ratings. And this is the opportunity we did, and we fell for it. Of course, they want them to think that there's something like there's still a possibility they haven't made a decision with the number 2 pick. So to make it compelling, so you have to watch it because you knew Wembanyama was going number 1. So they put the story out there that they still haven't made up their mind. What the fuck have they been doing for the last 3 months? Oh God, we're on the clock. Did anyone scout these guys? All right, flip the coin. Murderer or non-murderer? Murderer. Heads murderer. Let's do it. Not to bring up the murder. Not to be a Malika Andrews about this situation. But like, my point is, there's no way they didn't know who they were taking that day or that week. It's impossible. And we fell for this game. I fell for this game. I had Scoots minus 200. But that was beforehand when things were switching, and I don't know. But I did love that narrative of Michael Jordan was just going to spite it. And they would watch party. I can't believe it was a watch party for for the Hornets, and they all booed the pick. Why? I guess. I don't know. They wanted Scoots. Hey, you want Scoots? You want Scoots. Anyway. This is the bottom line bombs. Like I said, that was the NBA. Let's get past that. I want to move forward in today's show because I have a fun show today. I had the bowling coach interview coming up after the break. If you don't know the story, let me get this real quick. And then, of course, I'm giving out the baseball bombs of the College World Series tonight and a man in the box to wrap it up. But first, let me talk about the Stephen F. Austin story if you haven't heard about it. Scumbag bowling coach. His name is Steve Lemke. He's 38. The headlines alone are worth it for this story. He got fired. He had an affair with a player on his team that his wife coached. So the wife was the head coach. He was the assistant coach. He slept with a teammate. The head coach is Amber. And but what made the story even worse is this guy Steve, who I have an interview with coming up after the break. Get ready. His quotes are, he's just like so self-assured, cocky for no fucking reason. He's 38, married to head coach Amber. He had to resign April 10th. He said after he was caught, I knew it was kind of a no-no, but there's not a rule saying it can't happen. There's not a law saying I'm going to jail for doing something like this. There's nothing in stone. Nothing in stone. Like it's a Bible. I guess it's just an ethics code, I guess, like we frown upon it. But there's no rule. No law broken. Don't worry, everybody. Like George Costanza, when he slept with the cleaning lady. He's like, was that wrong? Tell me I touched you slept with the cleaning lady. Yeah, was that wrong? So I didn't see any of that in the rules. Yeah, you can't do that. This is asshole saying, nothing set in stone. Surprisingly, Steve and Amber have since filed for divorce. She's been publicly humiliated. This poor woman. The AD said Lemke and the student athlete are two consenting adults. And first of all, although consensual sexual relations between faculty and students at the college level are not prohibited under state law, they have to keep saying under state law. This is in Texas. There's a 4-year teaching and research industry, blah, blah, blah. It's pretty funny. When asked how Steve said when the affair was discovered, when Amber saw text messages from the student on his phone. Obviously, that's the phone always gets you. Steve said of the text, I didn't have anything in detail, nothing explicit. It was just about how amazing I am. Basically in a general perspective. Yeah, well, that'll get the wife even more suspicious than a sexting message. I bet if a woman or a girl texts you telling you how great of a person you are, the wife will be more upset about that, I think, than a fucking nude photo. Because who the hell thinks you're a good guy? That's not right. Amber saw that, questioned me, and I got to the point where I just built up so much, I basically told her the truth, and she dug through my phone. I'm sure and the best is I bet this fucking scumbag coach thinks his student's gonna be waiting for him, like they're gonna run off. And then he goes on to complain. This is where he gets. This is where this became a national story too. I was a stay-at-home dad for 5 years with the kids, while Amber got to go off and coach the team. And when she get back, I'd run practices on top of taking care of the kids while she was back. Oh my God, Mr. Mom. It's bitching how he has to watch his own children. When they travel again, I'd sit back and take care of the kids. Then when I got hired on, she almost forced me to run practice. I was a volunteer the entire time before that, trying to help out Amber. Once I got hired on, one thing stemmed from another. Felt like I was doing too much for what I was being valued at. Oh my God. He's just completely talking about his marriage. This has nothing to do with the value as a coach, as an assistant bowling coach. For the lady, what are they called? They're a good bowling team, by the way. They won 2 national championships. Steve was a volunteer assistant until 2019. Officially hired as assistant coach. I guess there was nepotism rules. I mean, how can you not have... My wife wouldn't even hire me as an assistant coach because she knew. He's not working here anymore. That's great. He had a choice. He had to resign. That's a quote. Amber has coached women's bowling. She still is. 2 national titles, 2 second-place finishes. She's great. The school said, as soon as we found out, we support our student athletes, obviously. And student athletes heroes, and obviously Amber with what's going on. Meaning, yes, we as a school have defend the woman in this one because he is a piece of shit. I love his whole attitude. What was that? It doesn't sound like it's set in stone. You can't have sex with a student anymore without all these newspaper writers coming in. It's not the 60s and 70s where, teachers sleeping with the professors or philosophy professors smoking a joint together. You just can't, especially when it's this whole guy, it's a whole power dynamic, if is what they say now, the problematics. It's a coach and a student. How could you not think that's wrong? What goes on? Although bowling alleys, just Stephen F. I need a Stephen F. Austin bowling shirt. Gutter ball. The headlines, that's what I'm enjoying too. One is like spare relationship. Splits a marriage and puts it into the gutter balls. This guy's just incredible. So luckily, I did my research team here at the Bottom Line Bombs for you degenerates. I went out and I scored an interview with this coach, Steve Lemke. He's a hard guy to track down. Everyone wants a piece of this guy. He's enemy number 1, so of course he wants to come to Bottom Line Bombs and SGPN. So I'm going to, now that I set that up, take a quick ad read. I'll come back, a couple commercials, and when we come back, I'm going to go to that interview with Steve Lemke, the Stephen F. Austin bowling coach. But first, let me tell you about Underdog Fantasy that we're brought to you. Best Ball Mania 4 is here, and Underdog Fantasy is giving away $15 million in prizes. What? How's Underdog Fantasy? Is Saudi Arabia back this fucking website? You're supposed to curse during an ad read? Underdog Pick'em is also a great way to get down your favorite MLB and college baseball player props. So many ways to win over on Underdog and active in so many states. So head over to UnderdogFantasy.com and use promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN. And we are back to the Bottom Line Bombs. Thank you for going through and suffering through all that, enduring degenerates. All the ads that's coming up. But now I want to get into what I teased the top of the show, and that is the interview I have with said bowling coach of Stephen F. Austin, Steve Lemke, the scumbag himself, the gutter baller. I'm going to show it right. I recorded this early. He couldn't come in live. Thank God, because of the way the tech work has been happening. But with that being said, this weekend, from an undisclosed location, because I think he might be in hiding right now, Steve Lemke. Here's my interview, the man in the box, you just saw him, with disgraced gutterball bowling coach and cheater, Steve Lemke. Steve Lemke. Steve, how you doing?
That's right. Steve Lemke. Thank you.
Yeah.
CJ, thank you for having me on the show to try and set the record straight. I'm obviously struggling. It doesn't matter. What I'm finding out is it doesn't matter what heights you've achieved in the ladies' bowling alley. It doesn't matter what accolades have been signed your way. It doesn't matter. Everything you've accomplished in life, you fuck one student. And it all goes out the window. That's
one way of putting it. You're definitely taking abuse here in the press. That's why I wanted to get you on, get your side of the story here. Mm-hmm. You're an assistant coach to the Stephen F. Austin bowling team. Your wife, Amber Lemke, is the head coach, and you worked underneath her. And of course, the story is you had an affair with one of your players and your students.
Yes.
that came out in public. Okay, right. But what made the story even bigger is some of your quotes. It seems like you don't even think there's anything really wrong with what you've done. It says you were quoted as saying you knew it was a kind of a no-no, but there's no rules saying it can't happen, and there's no law. You're not going to jail for doing something like this. Nothing in stone, I believe, is what you say.
Correct. Thank you. Nothing has been written in stone about this. And when it was discovered, and my wife is, of course, freaking out, that I'm fucking one of our students.
Yeah.
And, it obviously, I didn't expect it to not have any implications to our marriage. But then she's like, Steve, I'm getting ready to coach the next day. She's like, you can't coach anymore. And I was like, whoa. I mean, we understand she's over 17. And I went in front of the board, and I was like, I think there's a misunderstanding here, everyone. I think you think I'm fucking a child. I am not. She is over 17, so obviously we can conclude this meeting, and I will get back to coaching.
So you think you just could have cut right? You think nothing really bad should happen? You should have hopped right back in there. You, the student you're having an affair with, and your wife, the head coach of both the player and you as an assistant coach. You guys all could have got together fine.
Correct. We're all professionals. We once we get inside the lanes, all those problems can go away. So that's no big deal, in my opinion.
You stay inside the gutters, if you will.
Inside the gutters. Thank you.
Right. How is the relationship with the wife at home there now? How did this go about? How did she find out about this relationship, and how you guys treating now?
So this is what I will say for any listeners out there who are thinking about having an affair with a much younger woman.
Right.
What I am going to tell you right now is they're going to want to talk to you through technology that you don't understand. And it is eventually going to get you in trouble. Okay. Because they're going to do it's called sexting, CJ. Okay.
Sexting.
And they send you these.
I've heard about this.
You feel real good about yourself when you get these kind of messages, okay? You feel valued. You feel like a man for the first time in a long time. And you tell yourself you got to delete these messages because your wife or kids might find them, but you're not going to have the discipline to do it. You are not going to have the discipline to do it. So I think what I would tell, and that is how I got caught. My wife sees these messages.
It says she saw some messages on the phone, obviously from her, and were they graphic in detail? Is that what happened?
They were more just about my general greatness, my greatness as a coach, as a lover, and just feeling valued like that made me happy, So
sure,
I don't know. Maybe I left it out on purpose.
It was a normal text that a college co-ed girl would text a 38-year-old bowling coach from Texas. How great he is.
Right. Correct.
Wow.
So my wife finds out and it becomes this big to do. And now I am this program that I helped build. That's the other thing, that it's all like, I'm just feel like this is all coming out of left field. I don't feel people realize, while my wife was gallivanting around this country, coaching this team, I sometimes watched our kids. Like, I've cooked breakfast for our kids. Do you know how few dads can say that?
So you
I think
deserve
most women, if you were to go to most women in Texas and you were to say, I'm going to offer you a husband who understands the game of bowling inside and out and will occasionally cook breakfast for the kids, they would take that. And they would even be willing to tolerate an affair or two to have that kind of a husband in their corner.
I mean, you do sound like kind of a catch. I would imagine in Texas there's some hard to come by, but like, so you kind of deserve this. You said you were home for 5 years. She's out gallivanting all around the Southwest, winning national championships with bowling, a program, and you weren't even an official assistant coach yet, right? She wouldn't hire you on. Is that right?
That's correct.
That is a slap.
So I was working pro bono of my own time just to help the team, just for the love of the game. And I really just don't feel where this is coming from. And, I'm thinking about doing a career change now. I think I need to take all of my knowledge, but go into a sport where the ethos is more similar to so I think I'm going to take going to start coaching women's darts is what I'm going to do.
That's just because bowling it seemed to overwhelm you a bit, running the practices and the kids at home. I can't imagine all the commotion that a bowling practice entails. Now you want to get into women's darts. Is that big in Texas?
It is not big in Texas. I'm thinking about I just read that Scotland, it's huge in Scotland, and their age of consent is only 14 over there. So I think they have like an ethics that aligns with mine more.
Yeah, they have a lower drinking age too. I'm sure that helps with that department and darts, I guess, as well.
Any bowling coach, the first lesson any bowling coach will ever tell you is they say, hey, if you're going to make a career out of this, what you need to do right now is you need to get a good DUI lawyer on retainer. That's like bowling 101 lessons.
Well, I definitely think that might be a good idea of leaving the country because as the general public agrees and your school, Stephen F. Boston, the quote they said, as soon as we found out they fired you, they went through the process, they support their student athletes, and here's the money quote, and obviously Amber with what's going on. So Amber's still the coach there, and I think there's nowhere in America they're going to want to hire you. So maybe a fresh start in Scotland sounds good.
I think so. I think this is only the beginning of a news story. I think you're going to see me on top of some sort of billiard sport again in the future.
Mm-hmm. All right. I like that. Is there any final words you want to tell our listeners or anyone that can defend you? Steve Lemke, the disgraced bowling coach of Stephen F. Austin, who George Costanza's way to a fair, did not think it was wrong to do so. Is there anything you want to say that maybe defends yourself?
The only thing, I would just like to give some advice for some dads out there. Mm-hmm. Just that if you really are thinking about having an affair, you really need to tighten up your telecommunication security. And I would recommend either a wholly new phone or maybe trying to be romantic about it and leaving little letters or something like that. But do not use your same phone to talk to a student that you're having an affair with.
Have a separate affair phone and a separate bowling phone and maybe a family phone, something of that nature.
I would highly recommend that.
All right.
Well, or it could collapse your whole legacy. It could destroy your life. You just buy the second cell phone. I know it's a lot of money, but buy the second cell phone.
Right into the gutter. But now you can do that as the headline said, your spare relationship caused an awkward split. So good luck to you in the future there, Coach Lemke.
Thank you, CJ. And thank you for allowing me to present my side of the case.
This Steve Lemke. Steve, here it is. Look at that. Thank you, Steve Lemke, bowling coach. Stephen F. Austin, scumbag, gutter baller. Played by the great Sean Flannery, I should say. Just for legal purposes, that was not actually the head coach. But good advice anyway. About getting the phone and the tech issues, that's where a lot of these things get messed up. But no, that was great comedian Sean Flannery, who I do a podcast with called The Blackout Diary. So everyone who is watching and listening now here to the Bottom Line Bombs, I know you're subscribed to this show. I know you listen to this show. But also go ahead and subscribe to the Blackout Diaries. Find that anywhere where pods are told, just like you found this one. It's my other show. It's Drinking Story Show. It's hilarious. And that is the great Sean Flannery. You can also get his book, Places I Can't Return to. Sean Flannery, anywhere you buy books online like that. Anyway, so we are back. That was a little peek inside the box at home. Did you see my box at home with the piano back there and the beautiful tapestry? That, of course, was also fake, too. That was a fake virtual background that you can tell. I like when some of the backgrounds look good, then it gets a spotty green screen spot. Like, oh, okay, you're all lying to me. I can't show you all the box. I have a lot of boxes that I live in. I wish my box was just trying to get bigger boxes before we get to the final box. Anyway. All right, so we are back to the Bottom Line Bombs. It's time to give out some bombs now that we covered that bowling story, and I think I've walked all the live listeners. Everyone's gone in. But if you are here, hit like and subscribe. Definitely hit the like button. So, all right, let's get into the couple baseball bombs and the College World Series, which is tonight. First, a quick MLB bombs. I'm just going to give out two. Not too much analysis. Cincinnati Reds and Baltimore play a great series. Two fun teams. I love these Reds. They almost pulled that series out versus the Braves. The Braves are a machine right now. I don't know if I gave out, but I told you I have Cincinnati Reds 18-1 to win that division. They were 100-1 at the beginning of the year. You can't find that number now, obviously. Then they're like 300-1, 101 to win the NL. Who knows? They're a young team. Yeah, they're supposed to be bad, but with these new rules, I mean, they're just taking advantage of all these new rules. It's running. Half of the baseball world just can't believe that baseball teams are running in general. When you see someone running on a baseball field, it just seems off-putting. Usually the only time you see anyone running on a baseball field is a drunk from the stands who hops the fence and just wants to do zigzags with the security. So when baseball players are running, it's just weird. Like, why are they running? I thought that sport didn't have any running. And the Reds are running all over the place, and they're hot. Baltimore's also a nice team, but so I'm not going to pick a side in this game. Both of the worst pitchers are going. It's Brandon Williamson and Cole Irvin. Cole Irvin for Baltimore, Brandon Williamson for the Reds. They're both not great, and their numbers are pretty bad. I do like the over in this game. Two hot teams, two hot offenses. The overs, it was 9.5. Now it's 10. But I like this one a lot. Let's do Cincinnati, Baltimore over 10. And running. There's going to be people running around. Real quick, no analysis on this. I also like Seattle over Washington today. The run line is -125, so you can bomb that. That is Trevor Williams versus Luis Castillo. And I just like Castillo at home, Seattle. Washington just had a big series in San Diego, which they played great. They beat the Padres. I mean, they sweep the Padres? They might have. They played great. So now they have that Monday night game in Seattle. No one likes that trip up to Seattle on a Monday night after a weekend in San Diego. Trust me, it's brutal, but you got to get out there. So those are two Major League Baseball bombs to throw out there for tonight's games. Tonight's on Mondays. If you're listening Tuesday, I'm sorry. Again, I apologize as well if you're missing this because the College World Series championship game is finally tonight. LSU versus Florida.
You like that? You like that?
And whoever wins tonight will be the champion. I say that because of the College World Series. You never know. College World Series has been going on for like a month, and I never know how the fucking system works. Why did I just curse right there? It starts off with a triple elimination, and there's like 40 teams, and then there's a double elimination with 8 teams, and then there's another team. Like, I've seen LSU lose like 7 times. And here they are. If they win tonight, they're the champion. Okay, whatever. They lost 24-4 years. They lost by 20 runs. And they can be the champions tonight. What's going? Whatever. Right now, they have a -7 run differential overall in the playoffs. And they can be the champions tonight. Hilarious. The line is, it started off around 130. It is... Now it's up to 155. The over-under is 9. Run line was plus 105. And the reason is because there's questioning if LSU has got a pitcher Paul Skeens, I believe he is. He's like he's gonna be the number 1 pick. He's a beast. He's an ace. He threw like 8 shutout innings a couple days ago versus Wake Forest. That's how they got here, threw extra innings. He has pitched that was 123 pitches, Paul Skeens. He's thrown 243 pitches over his last 2 starts in the last 9 days. So they should not pitch him. But it's college baseball. It's SEC. It's LSU. It's down. There's no doubt they're going to have him go out there and pitch. They do not care about his physical well-being for the future and being in baseball. It's SEC college sports. That's their MO. They look at you as property that they own, which they do. And, of course, these kids are going to say, well, how are you going to – they actually said it. How are you going to test him? Well, if he tells me he feels good, of course he's going to say he feels good. He wants to win. He wants us to don't let his teammates down, but protect them. They will not. So let's use this to our advantage. Let's use this slave mentality of SEC sports to our advantage, because it's unknown if he's good. Technically, it's unknown, but we know it. Knowing history of this country in the South, we know damn well they don't give a shit. They're going to throw him out there until his arm falls off, and it is the number 1 prospect arm. So with that being said, we're going to give out LSU minus 155. Bomb that. Now, I don't think Paul Skeens will throw the entire game, but it could be a Bumgarner situation where they pull him in the 3rd inning. Say, till he says it's good enough. He yelled at me, and all right, what can we do? The run line might be tricky, although they are coming off just losing by 20 runs. So it's kind of embarrassing. And this is how baseball works. You see a team lose by 20, they come back, they win the next game 4-3. Colorado just did it versus the Angels. That was crazy. I turned that game on Saturday night. The Angels scored 20 runs in 2 innings. And they won 25-1. And then Colorado comes back and wins on Sunday. Those Angels are just a joke. So let's give it out. I'll give it out a run line too. Just the run line's struck. Let's just stick with the LSU money line. LSU will be the champions of the College World Series. LSU minus 155. Bomb that. Paul Skeens to the arm, to the arm falls off. And that'll do it. So plus those 2, plus the over in the Orioles, Reds game, and Seattle run line versus the Nationals. Those are 3 solid baseball bombs. And the College World Series will be over. The ping. I need a ping sound effect. That's the thing with it. Those aluminum bats. Oh my God. It's almost gotten to the point like, okay, enough now. I mean, how are people not dying with these things? The ping does sound great. The ping as it hits, but like the sweet spot is up and down the bat. Everywhere you hit's a sweet spot. I mean, they're coming off like rockets. Like the athletes are so fucking strong now. You can't do this. Wooden bats, they should have to break off their own tree branch. I can't believe they still allow aluminum bats in College World Series with these guys. I can't believe in softball, women's softball, that they still make them pitch underhand. They rifle it in like 90 miles an hour with those windmills. Just let them throw out overhand if they want. I don't know. That's what's crazy. I'd like to see Oklahoma women's softball play Wake Forest at least. That release point of softball, Jesus Christ. It's like 5 feet in front of you. They do that windmill, and the mound's like 10 feet in front. It's terrifying. So you're going to have the College World Series tonight. Championship, we're going to go with LSU in the metal bats. And then after that, we have the hockey draft coming up on Wednesday. Maybe I'll give out some props for that. Noon Pacific, Monday and Wednesdays, live, Bottom Line Bombs. But other than that, we're gonna have to do it. Then we're gonna really buck up. Then it's literally just baseball. We'll give out some football stuff, and then pretty soon. So anyway, all right. With that being said, that's today's show. Now let's go to the box. Yes, welcome to the box. It's been a good show. I'm trying to keep this. This should be a tighter under an hour. These summer shows are struggling, but you know. All right, let's get to the box. There's a lot of stuff I wanted to talk about in the box today. Speaking of baseball, I went to the Dodgers game. They lost last night to the Astros. We went a week ago when they played the White Sox. We had a bunch of Chicago buddies in town. Ricky Carmona, Vince Averill, got to give him a shout out, even though he's from Detroiter, but he got us the tickets because he's just a ticket guy. You ever one of those guys? You need a guy in the friend group who's a ticket guy. He's a ticket guy. You got his tickets? Yeah, I got his tickets right now. Dials it up, takes care of it. He's going to get you good seat. He knows what seats he's experimenting. He wanted to experiment. He wanted us to experience it. We were front row in the outfield, left field for Clayton Kershaw bobblehead night. And let me tell you something. That is a commodity. Clayton Kershaw bobblehead. There's security by every gate to make sure no one's doing any hanky pat and messing around, stealing things. So we got one issued. As soon as we got to the stairwell, people were offering to buy it for a World Series ring, quote unquote, which was obviously a shady, shisty deal. I should have just asked them to talk about it just for the hell of it. But I'm like, oh man, this is really a thing. The dollar's not even that great. And we, Ricky Carmona had his White Sox gear on. I wore a Dodger shirt just to hope that because I knew we were going to get harassed with Ricky to get some balanced stuff, even though I like the White Sox. But it didn't matter. They were screaming at us and the whole thing. And Ricky actually got his Kershaw bobblehead stolen during one of Luis Robert's home runs. And we could have said something. We could have had a confrontation, or we could have got out of there and not get stabbed. And that's what we chose to do. We chose not to get stabbed. Here's the thing with Dodger Stadium. It's a beautiful stadium. You got to walk up a huge hill to get there. Great backdrop. It's an older stadium, but it's still beautiful. I mean, it's in LA. The stands and the fans, my theory is there's a scene. Every scene from the movie Training Day is happening in Dodger Stadium somewhere. At once, all at once, at one time. Like the nice seats, there's judges being bribed up in the upper deck. Ethan Hawke's in a bathtub about to get shot in the outfield. Like every separate scene of Training Day is happening in this Dodger game. There's people plotting, assaults, everything. It's great. It's definitely exciting. But yeah, there was a guy in our section drunk heckling everyone, heckling the cameraman, heckling us. We yelled back at them, and then what's the point? They don't make any sense. Once you get drunks on their side and drunks, you can't even fight back with them because they don't listen to reason. Security came down. They were front row, they're heckling us. We're heckling back. Then security came down to the front row. Like right, like to just keep an eye on things, and he's like, "Oh, looks like someone reported me." Because that 1-800 number or whatever, you can text a number to report unruly behavior. So then he goes, he yells at me, he yells at us like he thinks we reported him. Let me see your phone. He's acting to see my phone. This drunken fucking heckler. See my phone? What are you, my wife? Are you crazy? I don't hand my phone over to anybody. Certainly not some stranger. And you actually think we snitched on you and called security? Do you hear drunks don't understand how loud they are. Do you hear how loud you are? Dave Roberts could have texted this number. I mean, security heard you from fucking 5 sections over. Jack Daniels snitched on you, sir. Okay? Not even Jack Daniels. He's more Evan Williams. He had a flask, a fireball, pint that he brought in there. First inning, I came in hot, drunk. Whatever. But I love that. Who snitched on me? Who snitched? That's a typical drunk. Who told on me? You did. Do you not hear yourself? No, they don't. They do not hear themselves. Dodgers came back and won that game in extra innings. It was a nightmare. And then walking out of there was even worse. Because if you go the wrong way walking out, next thing you're on this lonely road in this canyon and cars are coming by throwing things at you because you're by yourself. Like, what the hell happened? Where was the 50,000 people that was just with me? Anyway, let's get into that was the Dodger game. I want to talk some current event. Oh man, there's all kinds of shit I want to talk about. There's the Amazon. I'll save that for next show. The Amazon kids. That's a good one. The Marlin story with the sub. The last time I talked about the submarine, we all knew they were dead when that happened. So now I knew when it happened. the aftermath, we kind of just disposed of that story. The submarine story was such a great story for while it happened. Like I said, not because people were dying, but the way they're doing it. Everything was just so funny about it. Submarines, trying to see the Titanic, Xbox controller, rich people, billionaires doing a 3-hour tour. It was just amazing in a fucking minivan with no safety regulation, no regulation. No one even checked on it. And that's the aftermath now. Murky regulations for deep sea fishing or discovery is being questioned now. Murky regulations. And I said this before. I said this last week. Yeah, no, there are no regulations for the deep sea discovery for these tour things because it doesn't affect anyone but rich people doing this for their entertainment. So if this is what you want to do for your money, it's just like private planes. Yeah, I mean, no one's really enforcing it. If you want to do a fucking 180, 5 feet above the ground on this private island that you own, go for it, Roy Halladay, and die. And you can die. And, because that's what you want to do with your money. No one's going to stop you because no one else does this. So what's the point of having these regulations where no one's going to stop you from doing it? This is what you want to do, fine. Now, the deep sea is a little different because now we have to send rescue people for you, but we can just half-ass that, We'll throw a few carp down there, see if they can find you, but that's about it. But I also said the whole ocean itself, we should not be messing with. They're battling back. There's stories about orcas knocking over yachts. There's I know. Oh, so welcome XL to the comments in there. It says back to back Roy Halladay drops. I know. Well, Roy Halladay, there's also, I mean, there's you can go down the list. X with the baseball with millionaires with their private planes. Corey Lytle, remember he flew his plane into a building. He was a Yankee. That's a fun thing to say on the golf course when you miss your putt left. You go, that's a Thurman Munson. You go, what's that? A dead yank. And now you say Corey Lytle. That's the updated version. But people not as famous as Thurman Munson. Thurman Munson's the perfect plane crash one. So now the deep sea with the regulations, like I said, we shouldn't even be down there in the water. I don't trust anything that happens in the water. And sometimes they like to remind you. It's just the opposite of what we do. They breathe water and oxygen suffocates them. We're the opposite. It goes down, we go up. That's why I love that saying, a fish out of water. We're like, it's a fish out of water. This guy just trying to blend in. I'm in a new town. No, a fish out of water is a guy who's dying. He is suffocating, flapping around. Look at that bird, that fish flapping around. No, he's looking to breathe water. Anyway. I like this story. I'll tell this story before I get out of here. There was a fishing crew. The fishing competitions are always amazing me too, because there's some kind of honor. There's people who cheat at it all the time. We've broken that down because you have to go out there, you go on a boat and you come back and you weigh the fish. So there was this marlin competition. This boat was going to win $3.5 million, which who was funding this shit? That sounds very Southern too. This had to be like in Carolina, like these Southern cities. Yeah, it's North Carolina. Of course it is. There's so much money there. No one knows where the fuck it comes from. I mean, it's old money. Obviously, they don't make anything, these Southern cities, but they just have old fucking plantation money or whatever the hell it comes. Who knows where this shit comes from? Anyway, there was a marlin competition coming, and they were going to win $3.5 million. Amazing. They come back. Place is going nuts. It weighed 620 pounds. And there's video of it. I was like, yeah, they're all cheer. They're coming back in like they're Clooney and Wahlberg coming back in from the storm. But it's to catch fucking fish. And then they put it up there and it got disqualified. It's an amazing footage. This boat, it got disqualified because the marlin had a shark bite in it. And it was just a perfect imprint of a shark teeth. He wasn't even eating. He just got a little nibble at it, So when I saw that, like disqualified because a shark bit it, I'm thinking, oh, did it make it go under the weight? No, it didn't. It still weighed like 80 pounds more than the next fish. So that wasn't the case. But the rule is the fish has to be whole because of any kind of mutilation, as it says, prior to the landing or boating to catch caused by sharks, other fish, mammals, or propellers that penetrate the flesh. That's the official rule. It's because you're not putting up the fairest fight. That's what they're saying. Oh yeah, you caught a fish, but a shark already started it for you. He was weak. He wasn't fighting until his at 100%. So that's like the sporting of it. That's what I consider it a sport. Yeah, you caught it, but he was missing some organs. It's like, oh man, it's almost like that Carson Wentz hunting story. Yeah. I mean, you respect the animal, but did you use a bow and arrow and put a selfie with it? So they're pissed. They have this. They can't believe they was almost about to win $3.5 million. So I love telling people like, about that money. You're not going to get that money, and also that last month you spent out at sea was worthless. You did it for absolutely no reason because a shark got a little snack bite in there, and you basically fought a. No, I'm getting really bad. I mean, you basically fought a handicapped marlin. You know what I mean? He was basically. I mean, you might as well get one off of a wheelchair for crying out loud. So now they're suing, of course, because they said an interpretation of the rules, a mutilation. The Sensation boat, which the team took his name. We're at Big Rock Landing, finding out, jump on board, start poking around, and they're like, oh, well, this seems to be an issue. This looks like a shark bite. I can tell you from the bottom of my heart, nobody in the boat ever saw a shark. The bottom of my heart. Anytime someone says the bottom of their heart, they know they're on the wrong side. I like a prodding around. Oh, looks like a little shark got into it. Nothing to do. But I do love reminders, and I love a shark being a reminder. And these whales knocking over boats. Like, stay the fuck out of our world. Stop bringing things up. Stop making you have to make a glass boat to see us, to look at us in these cages. Like, whale watching, observatory. Like, I also like James Cameron being the spokesman for what James Cameron's the ultimate asshole. What I would have done, like he thinks he's better than everyone in the room, smartest guy in the room. He's just talking shit about this submarine thing, about how unskilled they were. Well, the problem was they didn't know what they're doing. They're fucking skilled around. They weren't like me, the movie guy, who made 9 avatars at once that nobody wants, but we're going to see it regardless. Yeah, I took about 30 missions down to that Titanic, just some for editing, just some to get my own recording in there, Yeah, and these guys are just terrible at what they do. Unlike me, who can do it all under the sea. That Avatar too. It's fine. You know what I liked about the Avatar? Like, it's like, oh, now they're the water people. Then it's gonna be the hail people and the snow fucking blue people. They're in the sequel. If you haven't seen the sequel, and you haven't seen the first one, don't worry about it. It won't affect you at all. There's nothing. You're not missing anything, and you'll be right on brand with it. The Avatar water people. Yeah, so the second one, the forest Avatar people, blue people, have to go to the water people and join them. And they get hazed at first. Like, they don't like each other. They have a rivalry. And, like, obviously they're trying to do a thing with the races and the metaphor. The metaphors are pretty clear. They're not really hiding anything. And so, like, they're I don't like them. They're whipping each other because their tails are longer. Like, okay, can you guys really survive in a planet that don't like each other? How about you guys have a common enemy with humans, right? Who are trying to take over your planet. We have to do ribbing. Like, I don't trust these guys. They're the forest blue people. All right, get over it because the military is coming over to take over your entire world. Anyway, it's still a fine movie. It's more like a video game more than anything. Oh, God. That's great. He's right. Jurassic Park. Captain Insano says your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should. And then all of us, no, you probably should. We didn't learn. Speaking of Jurassic Park, I went to City Walk last night, Universal Studios, and in the garage there was Jurassic Parking. I like a good pun for the parking garage. In a couple of weeks, I'll be in Vegas at the Circa Casino for their football contest, and their garage is called the Garage Mahal. Maybe the best pun nicknames of all. But that is going to do it for today's Bottom Line Bombs, right? Oh, Jesus, we're still at an hour. I thought I had a short show today, and I'm still at an hour. But I do want to thank everyone who came in to the live YouTube and XL. Welcome to the YouTube comments. What's up in that community? Make sure you hit like on the YouTube button if you're watching. And subscribe, of course. Spotify, anywhere you can find this. Give it a review. 5 stars, 1 star. I don't give a shit. Write a review, though. Get the algorithms going. We got to get this. That's what I need. It's the only thing I ask. I give out these free bombs that hit. I only give out a fucking 90-1 winner. Why am I cursing for no reason? All I ask is for some reviews and things like that of that nature. I want to thank the Stephen F. Austin bowling coach, Steve Lemke, the scumbag gutter baller himself, a.k.a. Sean Flannery. Again, make sure to subscribe to Blackout Diaries, our other podcast about drinking storytelling. And his book, Places You Can't Return to. Hilarious. Thank him for that great interview we did. Everything else, thank you for all the commenters coming along for the ride. Follow me on the Instagrams there. That's been scrolling. CJ Sullivan was taken, or Twitter at CJ Sullivan _. Like I said, yeah, just subscribe and keep this thing going. We're going to get through the summer. We're going to get the football. We're going to get the camps. We're going to do it all. Back to the theme songs.